What's up? This is B getting ready for the NPC 2017 Gopher State Pro Qualifier. I'm off-season training, putting it down in Apple Valley, Minnesota at Anytime Fitness. Uh, my boy Vince, who's the owner, let me come in and get my training in, and also to bring in the camera woman with me, Becca, who was very instrumental in capturing all the footage and editing for the video. I want to just give shout outs right quick as I'm doing these. As you see, trying not to go that heavy, but doing stiff legged deadlifts a little bit. I want to give shout outs to my trainer, Iris Kyle, 10 time Mrs. O. Um, also want to give trainers shout out to Yemi of International Egg Whites, who's one of my sponsors. Also want to give shout out to Chris, who's very instrumental in my training, getting me ready for the show. Um, Very instrumental in helping me with the off-season prep. Um, as you see right now, we're getting in some uh, medium bar seated rows. Try to stiffen up that lower back, put a little size on. As you should see, I'm not really going that heavy because we're just starting to um, start really getting the body in tune for medium to heavy lifting. As you're going to see throughout this video, I'm not really going to put on a lot of poundage at this point. What you're going to notice is I'm going to do a lot of squeezing, a lot of controlled reps. I'm going to try to keep the rest periods as short as possible, just enough to catch my breath, possibly, you know, put the reps around the bar, and then I'm going straight into a work set. The goal is pretty much between 8 to 12 reps per set, 3 to 4 sets. Um, the first set is usually my warm up set that I usually do 15 to 20 just to get the blood flowing, pumping in there. I don't count those. I count that as pretty much a warm up set. As you can see, I'm stretching in between sets. That is huge. A lot of people forget to stretch in between those sets. Uh, I've learned over the years of lifting, 20 plus years, that if I stretch in between sets, it's a huge prevention of injuries. Because when you're lifting, those joints, well, excuse me, those muscles start to get tightened up, and you need to loosen those muscles to get fresh blood and get water and different things into the muscle fibers. Um, One thing about back, the back is such a large muscle group. You have to put a lot of volume into that back, um, and it's just something you just can't do one or two um, exercises and call yourself doing a complete back workout. As you see through the video, I'm drinking a little water. Got to stay hydrated. That's one of the biggest things that us as bodybuilders do is stay hydrated. That's probably one of the top things as a NPC bodybuilder I try to do um, is stay hydrated. Um, if you will notice, even the IFBB pros, they're always drinking a lot of water, massive amounts of water actually, um, to help diet on a diet program. Right now, I'm doing some close grip pull downs. If you notice, I'm bringing it right to the chest area, not trying to let the weight swing. As you notice, I'm controlling the weight on the way up and on the way down. Uh, that is pretty much to make sure that I'm getting a squeeze on the lats. You don't have to squeeze and hold it for 5, 6 seconds, but if you just notice, if you control the reps like I'm doing and not let the weight control you, you'll be able to squeeze and control the weight, and you definitely can feel that in your lats. You're also just wanting to make sure you isolate that body part. You don't want other body parts to come into play as you're lifting, because we have a tendency to, when it gets so heavy, to incorporate other body parts to manipulate the weight, to move the weight a little bit there. Add a little bit more weight on this one. Um, like I said, you know, it's not, I'm in there trying to lift the entire gym. Basically, what I'm doing is just getting my body back to lifting, and, um, trying to um, just incorporate movements that I know that works for me. Um, like I said, Iris was um, big on my training program. My training program, pretty much whatever she said, I would usually, not usually, but would do it. I would get the workouts at first thing in the morning or late at night, and then we'd put it into play the next day. Off season, I got up to about 250, 252. Um, start putting on size. I was probably in the best condition of any time that I've competed. Um, the off season, I could tell I was putting on quality mass, and that was huge this year. Putting on a lot of mass, and hopefully be able to keep it off when I die down for the show in April. Um, you know, Doing a complete year to prepare for a show and not do any show between is huge. It also helps your body recuperate, and injuries to heal, joints to heal, and you just start to feel better. Right now, I'm doing, as you see, dumbbell rows, doing double dumbbell rows, not doing singles. I'm getting a complete stretch when I come down. I do those pretty much maybe once or twice a month in my back routine. Um, it's a real good stretch for me, uh, better than the bar. I feel the bar uh, sends, it's a little limitation of how far I can pull, because with the bar I can pull it to my stomach, but with the dumbbells I can get it, as you see, to the outer hip area, which gives me a deeper stretch, and a definitely, when I can get a good stretch, I feel that I'm growing in that area. One thing that you will notice during this workout when we go through it is that I'm trying to not waste too much time on resting. I am pretty much going straight to the next set, just enough to catch my breath. Once I catch my breath, I'm beginning to feel that it's time to go. If I catch my breath, I feel I can get another set in. And as I said before, you're probably looking at it and saying, well, he's a big guy. Why is he not lifting super heavy weight? Well, I'm a bodybuilder. I'm not powerlifting. And as a bodybuilder, what we want to do is build muscle. When you're powerlifting, the reps are heavy as possible, 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 reps, because you're just on strength. Right now, I'm lifting for size, quality mass, and so, like I said, those repetitions can be between 6 to 12. sometime 15. It actually depends on what body part I'm actually working that day. Um, what most people don't realize when you're doing rows, and I've seen people do this, they tend to let their body swing and they put more shoulder than back into the routine, um, which is not good because you're really incorporating your rear delts more than your lats. Right now, I'm just doing some seated calf raises, trying to get some blood pumping into the calves. Um, Not trying to do anything crazy, right? You just, I'm that's probably one of my weak body parts. It is one of my weak body parts is my calves. So I feel that I should get some sets in there. Right now, we're going to incline barbell presses. I always start out with incline for the upper chest because I feel the upper chest is definitely one of the most noticeable parts when you hit your side chest pose. You want that upper chest to sit straight up. You want it to be so noticeable that you can hit it from every angle, and that upper chest, just stands out. Um, if your upper chest is not up to par when you hit side poses, you can definitely tell um, that it's so detrimental in bodybuilding if that body part is not developed. Um, I'm going medium grip here on this. If you notice, you see me turning the bar. One, you probably wonder why is he turning the bar. I'm actually evening out the bar. A lot of people don't even out the bar. They just get back under it. Um, I'm always evening out that bar because I don't want it to be unbalanced and put too much pressure on the left or the right and end up with a pec tear or shoulder injury. Um, so that's huge. Like I said, you want to control the weight um, throughout the whole motion. You just don't want to control it. You want to when you bring it out that rack, you want to make sure that you have command of that weight because um, that weight would not, it does has that weight has no feeling, so it would not respect you. You have to control it. And my motto is there's no way I can let something that has no feeling or no life control me. So as soon as I get under the weight, I'm trying to control it, but I do respect it. That's two different things. Being able to respect what you're doing and being very conscious of how you're doing it with your lifts, because you tend to see people just going to the gym and just um, start just pumping away, and the bars going every which way, and their bodies going the other way, and that's not a smart move. That's a injury waiting to happen. So my advice is when you're lifting, especially when you get in your late 40s like myself, is you have to lift smarter. It's not about lifting when you were in your 20s where was putting 315 on incline presses and um, trying to impress the girls in the gym and show off for the what you can bench and all that type of stuff because um, you know that ego lifting will get you hurt and but we've all done it. I'm sure yourself included has been in the gym and start putting on weight and there's more weight than you can actually do um, with good form, but you're doing it because you want everyone to see what you're doing. Um, right here, if you notice, it's very controlled. I'm not bouncing the bar off my chest, which a lot of people do. Um, you start. to bounce the bar. You don't want to bounce the bar. You want to control that bar. That bar is huge. You want to make sure, as I said, that you are in command of that bar. You don't want it to be where that bar comes crashing down on your chest, and there you go on the way to the emergency room because you didn't control the weight. One of the biggest things, um, which you see me not doing, that I always advise people to do, is have a spirit spotter. Um, I don't have a spirit spotter right now doing this lift, um, but when I was lifting super heavy um, off season, I did have a spotter. Actually, Chris would spot me heavy when I went heavy on uh, lifts, and um, she would be my spotter on like chest, heavy chest, and whatever. Um, and she would be more of the counter of what I would be doing if I was doing five pauses, um, 5 rep pauses. She would be the counter to 5 rep pauses, and that was huge because when you're lifting, you're not trying to count reps or the pauses. You're just trying to control the weight and make sure you're doing it correctly. So that's huge. You want to have a spirit spotter under any type of poundage. It doesn't have to be heavy, just any type of weight. So if you're a beginner, you don't want to be doing what I'm doing right now, lifting without a spotter. Um, you want to have someone that if you get into a situation you can't get the weight off of you, they're experienced enough to get it off of you and to help you rack that weight. Um, One of the biggest myths is when you do um, chest from an incline, um, the the degree of the bench is very important. Um, as you see, I'm probably about a 35, 30 degree angle on this. I've seen some people go 40, 45. That doesn't really work for me because I at that point I feel I'm doing more delts than chest. Um, yeah, my delts, my front delts tend to kick in, and the pecs just doesn't. It just seems like I'm doing more of a shoulder routine than a chest routine at that point. So you have to put the bar where you feel works best for you, not where you see someone else doing it. Take your time, adjust. I said your bar, excuse me, your bench. Adjust your bench where you feel the most comfortable, and you feel that you're not gonna get hurt, and you can actually get the required reps and be injury free with your workout. Now, I probably went more reps, excuse me, more sets than I was supposed to. And as I'm going through this workout, um, I'm doing more sets. And if you notice, the reps are staying in the 6, 6, 8 range, 5 to 8 range, six, somewhere in there. Um, but I'm trying to keep my rest periods as short as possible. As you see, when I'm going down here, I'm just getting enough rest to actually breathe, just to get to get my breathing down. Once I get my breathing down, um, it's pretty easy. Um, this really helps, especially when you have tissue work afterwards. And this is huge. What I mean by tissue work, you have to have a great massage therapist. Um, Big shout out go out to my massage therapist Lindsay at Keep in Touch Massage in Burnsville. She's is a miracle worker. She probably is the reason why I was able to walk after all this heavy lifting I would be doing in off season. Right now, I'm doing flat bench dumbbell presses with my legs up. The reason why I do it with my legs up, I feel that now this is for me. This doesn't mean you have to do it. So it works for everyone. It doesn't work for everyone. This is what I feel works best for me. Um, I get more of control when I do that because my legs are not moving, my feet are not moving. I know if I move off that bench, you know, I'm gonna fall off the bench. My ass will be on the floor. So I'm very conscious of not to do that. As you can see on these, I think I'm using the hundreds right now. I am using the 100-pound dumbbells for dumbbell presses. As you can see, I try to control and keep it and not lock out. You don't want to lock out. The biggest thing that most people do is lock out their elbows. Can't tell you enough stories of people locking out their elbows and want to know why their elbows and joints are so sore, because what you've done is you've taken the weight off the muscle and put it to your joints, which is not healthy. Um, I don't like to take the weight, especially heavy dumbbells. I don't like to pull them from the floor. As you can see, I put them on top of weights and then sit down with them on my thighs, my quads. Um, it just works best for me. I feel that, some people might call it the lazy way. I feel that it gives me more energy not to do that extra 2 or 3 reps by pulling off the floor. I prefer to do those extra 2 or 3 reps on my chest. So that's what you see me. That's why you see the dumbbells on top of the dumbbells before I go into my seated motion to do lying dumbbell presses, flat dumbbell presses. One of the things of when you do dumbbell presses that you want to keep in mind, and like I said, this, food for thought, doesn't work for you. It might not work for you, but I feel it works real good for me. And that is, you want to make sure that when you're doing those dumbbell presses, you control from the top to the bottom. And my trainer, um, Iris, always tells me to control it on the descend. That's where your growth is, on the descend, which is true. Because when you're controlling it coming down, you're kicking in so many muscle fibers to control that weight when it's coming down towards your chest. As you can see, it really, if you don't believe me, try it. Don't go as heavy, just go light to medium weight and bring the, not super slow, but a controlled descent for like 6 to 8 reps, maybe 10, and watch how you begin to feel the burn into your chest area. It really works. It's not overrated at all. Um, I was one of those people that would try to rep out the weights, rep out the reps to get just get the weight up. The older I've gotten, the more experience I've gotten, and been with Iris, I've learned to control the weights throughout the entire motion, which is huge in um, building a um, stage physique for competition. Um, One of the things that I would also like to bring up is um, when you're doing um, weights in between. I can't reiterate this enough. In between those sets, stretch. If you see me, I'm stretching. Um, I even hit poses in between. And that's huge for me because those poses is the same poses I'm going to do on stage, and I'm having that blood flowing. So it's really a big, um, issue to get that blood pumping because when you're backstage, you're actually pumping blood when you're in the pump up room to get blood in there. So it's almost the same thing. Right now, I'm doing machine um, incline presses. If you notice the C, and if you notice how slow I'm bringing that down, um, that's something that Iris has me doing, is controlling the descent, which is that growth I was telling you about, that will put some size onto that chest area. Um, you want to, um, you press it out as you see here. You don't see me press them out, but it's gonna be a control, and I'm still controlling. See if you notice, see how I'm coming down slow. I'm not letting the weight, and then I'm gonna bring it down to a real slow. Right. See, there we go. So we're doing fives control, but I'm doing a real slow control on that fifth rep. And if you see I'm counting. I'm counting for 10 seconds. And then after that 10 seconds, I'm going back to the next set. So I'm not letting that chest, I'm not giving it a break. I'm really taxing it. And that type of shock to the muscle is huge because the muscle thinks he's going to let up. He's going to let up. And once you start shocking the muscle and doing a totally different ball game, it becomes very different. Now we're going to move over to the pec deck. This is one of my favorite exercises. The pec deck, the pectoral fly, we call it the pec flies. It really helps my upper chest. I can put a lot of, when I squeeze the upper chest, I mean, I can just feel the blood pumping up in the incline area. I mean, my upper pecs really get that pump. Now, it really hits everything because when I squeeze like there and I start to descend, my whole entire chest is on fire. And the first thing you're thinking about is if I squeeze a little harder, it's probably make your chest feel like it's gonna come out. But um, it's one of those things where if you keep that tension on the chest and you keep pushing and pushing and firing those muscles and firing them, um, it has no it has no room but to grow. You have to, you can't let the muscle has memory. You have to switch it up. You have to trick that muscle. You have to make that muscle do some things that it hasn't done. Um, you can't come doing the same weights, the same reps, and expect different results. If you do the same thing and you know the same form, the same reps, and expect different results, you're kidding yourself. Um, like I said, this machine is equivalent to a dumbbell fly, but you have more control with the pec deck. You have a lot more control than what you would have if you're new onto lifting, because you can hit the incline flies with dumbbells, decline, and flat bench. This is the overall. This hit all three of the heads, because you can adjust that seating pad to different levels to hit that chest from different angles, um, which is huge because I feel that I tend to adjust it wherever I want to, equivalent enough muscle growth, um, that at that time. Um, this is what we call the granddaddy of chess. A lot of people don't do it. Dips, free dips. Free dips is very big on um, helping you grow your chest. It pumps a lot of blood. You're using your body weight. Some people use the assisted dip machine. Um, and that's fine if you cannot actually hold up your body weight. That might be good for you to do. But if you can actually hold your body weight and press, might be better for you to get in there and get some free dips, um, to get that blood pumping and get that quality mass in the pectoral area. Uh, I'm trying not to take too much time on the rest aspect. If you can see, I'm trying to just get enough uh, rest period to catch my breath, and then once I catch my breath, I'm ready to go between the breathing and the stretching, and it's time to hit another set. Uh, One thing that's very very big, especially when you're doing presses, is protection of those elbows. I notice a lot of people live without um, those elbow pads. I cannot live without them because I feel all kind of tension in my joints of elbows if I do that. Right now we're going to hit some back. We're going to do some, as you see, seated pull downs to the front, controlled, not going too heavy, not getting the swing going, but just enough to actually work that back. And as you see in between those pull downs, I'm doing some stretches to try to um, loosen up that mid to lower back and get some good good quality reps in. Uh, I use straps on pulls because we have a tendency, at least I do, um, when I don't, I will start to incorporate my biceps in the pull. I use the straps and keep my thumbs off the bar to make sure I'm actually good getting the pull when I pull it down to um, the chin area, a little past the chin area, on the pull downs. There's all type of variations of pull downs. You have the long bar um, is pretty much the standard bar for pull downs, and you have um, the close grip bar. It's just like for that mid, that rear lateral area and mid for your back. Those are very good as well, especially if you're squeezing on the descend and controlling, really controlling the weight. That helps out a lot. The thing of, like I said, controlling the weight is huge. If you think about control, when you say control the weight, everyone asks, what does that mean? It's not swinging. It's not taking your body out of a natural movement from um, barbell rows to pulls to whatever you may be doing. You want to make sure that you have what's called a solid base, good form, because you can lift all the weights you want. If your form is terrible, you're only going to get probably a third of what you would get out of that workout if your form was um, a lot better. Um, that's probably one of the biggest things I've noticed in people is your form, which we all went through it because we all didn't know what we were doing when we first started. So everyone has done went through that before. Here's the close grip pull down as you see I was telling you about. Um, this really works. I really like this because as you can see, my lats are getting a real good workout with that, and I'm not trying to um, do it this very quickly. It's controlled, it's slow, and more focused on the contraction and the movement more than the weight. That's what you see me doing right now. It's more about um, contracting than just moving the weight. This is probably one of the biggest things that I learned later on in my career was, you know, you swinging the weight and just trying to get the weight up is probably doing more harm than good than lowering the weight and controlling the weight throughout the movement. That took a while for me to understand that, but the older you get, the more wiser you get, because you're trying to prevent injuries. And once you start trying to prevent injuries, you start to figure out that that might not be a smart move. Now I moved over to Smith machine barbell rows. And as you see, I'm standing on a platform to get more of a stretch. Um, this is great for that low mid back. I mean, it puts some thickness on. If you want to put some thickness on your back, I always say put some rows. Do some, put some rows in there. If you put some rows in there, you're actually going to really put a lot of size on your back, a lot of thickness. You want that thickness in your back. You don't want your back to be thinned out. You want to make sure it has that quality thickness um, that it takes. So when you diet down and you cut up for the show, um, that that back stands out when you hit so many poses. If you hit the rear double back, rear double bicep uh, pose or your rear lat pose, um, the back is huge. You that back, when you turn around, I've seen people's back win shows for them because their back was just tremendous. And probably the best two bodybuilders ever I've seen with backs that you're in awe with is Ronnie Coleman and Dorian Yates. And as far as females, the only female bodybuilder I've seen back that is just off the chart is Iris Cows. You, but there's a lot of work, a lot of volume comes into building a championship back, and um, you can't neglect back. You have to put a lot of hard work into that, and you got to hit it from different angles, and that's probably what most people don't understand. When you hit that back from different angles, um, you can tell you put in that work. You can tell the work has been put in, and everything just pretty much falls in place at that point. Right now, I'm going up to 315. Try to get this. We're not trying to get a lot of reps in. This is basically for mass and little strength, but mostly for mass. You know, to get big, you have to lift big, but to catch it, you have to lift kind of the right way, and get the reps in, but also make sure you have good form and don't get hurt. That's key. Form outweighs poundage any day. Um, the thing of is competing as NPC and going to try to get your pro qualifier is that um, you know it's it's so hard to when you at this level you're working hard, but in your mind someone else is working harder than you. So you're chasing you're chasing other people that you don't know who they are. You've never seen them because people come from all across the country to compete in these shows. Um, but you know in your mind that um, 9 times out of 10, all the top champions have tremendous backs. And so I go into that, I can only speak for me. I go into that phase of um, whatever it takes to get that back big, get that back thick, um, put quality size and separation when it comes time for that show, that separation kicks in, and that's what this it's what you're looking for when it comes to that. Right now, this is an old school movement that the guys just do in the 70s and the 80s. You see some bodybuilders now do it, but not that many. And this is called dumbbell pullover, bench pullover. So as you see, my back is on the bench and I'm pulling a dumbbell over me. Um, a lot of people don't do that anymore. A lot of people use the machine pullover. Um, I still prefer the old school way of using the dumbbell because I feel I get a better stretch when I use the dumbbell. And using the dumbbell, I I think, it's just my opinion, it puts more size on than using the machine. There's not nothing wrong with machine. Everything has its place. You can get big with machines, but for me, I just feel that I get a better pump, a better stretch when I'm actually using the dumbbells than anything else. I feel that when that dumbbell is being utilized and I stretch, I can feel my lats being stretched, and that's huge. That probably is one of the biggest reasons, um, like like I said, Dorian and Ronnie had such massive backs because these were incorporated into their back routines. Um, and Definitely incorporated in Iris routine because what you see me doing is the routine that she has me doing. So what you're seeing me do is this complete routine is not something I just made up or saw on YouTube or saw it out of a magazine. This is actually coming from my trainer to get me ready for April for the show. So, like I said, the thing of, I don't want to reiterate, the thing is, he is to stay safe, you know, um, lift with, lift smart, you know, and not trying to lift to impress anyone and get hurt. We all want to stay safe in the gym, and it has nothing to do with if you're if you're um, just training because you just want to have good health, or you're training um, to compete um, at this level or at the pro level. Um, you just want to stay safe, because the safer you are, the more you can lift. And because an injury, once you get hurt, the time of recovery that really puts a damper on your progress because if you can't lift, you can't progress. Right now, I'm just hitting lat spread, hip front, double bicep, side chest. So I'm hitting muscles that I have worked just to get blood flowing. As you see, uh, at that point, I'm so tight it's kind of hard to actually get the full contraction in them. But as you can see, you can kind of see what I'm doing is I'm stretching right now um, with the dumbbells. It's it's really working its best for me because I'm feeling that right now I have everything going um, my way and without the injuries. And I think it's been a long time since I come into an off season without some type of nagging injuries. Um, Last but not least, I I switched these up. These are hanging leg raises. I use the straps because I like to get a good contraction and not try to swing so much um, with with my ab workout. Um, but this is something I usually try to switch off. I usually do it at the beginning of the workout or the end of the workout. It all depends. Um, Today is at the end, and so you know the little things you don't want to forget is the abs and the calves because we're so focused on building the bigger muscles, we tend to neglect the smaller muscles. So you just want to, to build a bodybuilder, you have to hit every muscle from every angle, even the ones you hate. And trust me, there's some days you don't want to do legs or whatever the case may be, but that's the day you got to really buckle down and focus in because those are the things that you need to do to compete at the NPC level or the IFBB level to become pro bodybuilder or whatever you're trying to do, fitness, figure. Um, the choice is yours, or just get yourself in great shape. Like I said, thank you for listening. Um, Peace, and see you at the NPC. Go for state.